연구를 해보겠습니다. 아, 이렇게 세 개 갖다 놨네.
I shall begin now. Watson, if you are at all optimistic to have dinner this evening, then I'd recommend that you
방독면 썰어 왔으나 닫아버리네.
This plant becomes inactive after being drenched with alkaloid. It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid.
입을 열고 얘는 오물이고.
This plant becomes inactive after being drenched with alkaloid.
아.
It closed again. I believe I saw a small
이게 뭐야?
cloud of gas. I wonder what secrets this plant is hiding. Perhaps if we agitate it to a greater extent whilst it is opened, it will reveal a little more.
아까 이거 했을 때 벌렸잖아.
It appears to open after being soaked. It closed again. I wonder what's...
뭐지? 얘도 닫고.
It appears to have fallen inactive after being disturbed.
얘가 맞기는 한가 보네. 엥?
My word. It shot a spike at me after I stabbed it with a pin.
가시를 쏜 거야 이게? 내가 떨구게 만든 거 아니고?
If I increased the strength of my attack.
왜 네가 먹어?
It closed again. I believe I saw a small cloud of gas. I wonder what secrets this plant is hiding. Perhaps if we agitate it to a greater extent.
아, 위치도 바꿀 수 있긴 하구나.
This plant seems to have had.
뭐야, 애벌레를 노는 게 아니었어? 아, 여기다 놔야 되는 건가? 헉! 뭐야 이게?
Toxic gas with spores. Extraordinary.
이게 뭐야?
The plants would be capable of killing only if they were directly next to the victim and stimulated at precisely the right moment.
야, 살해 방법이 너무 똑똑해. 이 정도면 죽였어도 인정해주자.
It is too early, Watson.
너무 어려운
Our
방법으로
suspects will be there.
죽였잖아.
Let us investigate Kew Gardens one more time and ask some questions. 치밀한 계획을 세웠어. 아니야, 이거지. 먼저 한 거지. 지금 그 신성 연구에는 생각할 필요가 없어요, 지금. 후방에 등장해서 그런 건지는 모르겠지만 굳이? 그리고 이미 식물원 안에서 거짓말을 하고 있는 놈들이 너무 많아서 얘한테 다시 신문해봅시다. 몬테규 행적. 이걸 이제 물어본다고? 아, 근데 살인사건 조사하는 거를 티를 못 내니까 그럴 수 있겠다. 9시 30분. What were you doing on the morning of the accident?
After paying multiple visits to Albert, I had a little talk with Miss White. Then I returned to my desk to complete some paperwork. Suddenly I observed that Mr. Dunn was not feeling well, so I ran immediately to fetch Albert. I clearly remember that it was around 10:30,
10시 30분.
for I was late that morning.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
야, 비켜. 그다음에 어디 있었지? 여기. 사망
Your
당일.
father's death does seem highly suspicious. What were your movements here on that day?
Suspicious. Well, I was working in the seed house, taking care of Lysa something, or Lear Pontus, or... No, wait. Ah, these Latin names. And I spent so many hours trying to memorize them.
Did you see your father that day?
Yes, he came here with Mr. Hamish for his weekly visit.
주간순회.
There was nothing unusual about that.
And then?
Nothing. They stepped out to the backyard. It was perhaps 20 minutes before 10 o'clock. Then about 10 minutes later, I saw my father heading for the dry tropics room while Mr. Hamish returned here.
다른
And
사람들의
Mr.
행동.
Hamish and Miss White, what were they both doing that morning?
Mr. Hamish visited me a couple of times. I also saw him returning from talking with Miss White, and that was at 10 minutes past 10. But then he ran back here to me to tell me that my father was feeling unwell. We hurried across to the water lily room, and I found my father lying dead on the floor. Oh my God.
Oh my god.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
일로 가면 오래 걸릴라나? 비켜. 여기인가? 드디어 말할 수 있네.
Can you tell me what
사망
Mr. Dunn
당일에
was doing
뭐 했어?
on the day of his death?
딱딱 말해.
Can, but there is nothing very special to say. I was in the laboratory when I saw Mr. Dunn heading towards me. Tuesday is the day of his weekly visit. It was supposed to be at 9, but he was 10 minutes late, as usual.
And then?
Well, he came in to say good morning. Then I saw him spend 2 or 3 minutes by the plants outside the laboratory. After that, he ran out in the direction of the nursery, where Mr. Hamish was working. He was always in a rush during the inspection, you see. I would pity anyone who stood in his way.
왜?
And that was the last time you saw him?
Yes. I stayed in the laboratory until 20 minutes to
40분까지
11,
실험실.
when I heard the cries of Albert and Mr. Hamish from the large glass
40분에
house.
발견됐고.
I joined them as soon as I could, for I knew that something must be very wrong.
What exactly were you doing in the laboratory?
I was recording an experiment for my thesis. I only stopped my work once when Mr. Hamish visited me briefly around 10 o'clock.
상세하게 잘 알고 있네.
You say you were recording an experiment when the tragedy occurred. Might I listen to the roll?
Certainly. Please do. You will find it in
320번?
the laboratory. It is number 320.
Thank you, miss.
뭐야?
Everyone has gone, Holmes. The way is clear.
뭐야? 갑자기? 갑자기 정황을 파악하라고? 뭐야? 식물관을 빠져나갔다. 아니지, 그러면. 들이마셨다. 그 다음에 빠져나갔다. 여기에 식물이 있었고. 갑자기 여기서, 그러네. 그래서 여기 문을 빨리 여기를 나가려고 막 두드린 거네. 해서 나간 거네.
When Montague Dunn was standing close by the plants, the caterpillars were released and caused the deadly spores to activate. Panicking and likely already half asphyxiated,
그래서
Montague
여기에
Dunn
조각이
started
떨어져
back
있었던 거고.
and knocked over the bust. He rushed to the door, but it was locked. He had to force it open with his shoulder. We already know the outcome. Montague Dunn collapsed and died not far from the pool. Well, it is time to perform our experiment on the ventilation system.
실험을 한다고? 내가
The
직접 애벌레
caterpillars could
넣고
only fall from the ventilation duct. Our caterpillars are in place. I'll activate the ventilation system so that they fall down. Watson, stay here and observe.
아 왓슨
All right,
개불쌍해.
Holmes.
아이씨. 밖으로 나가기는 해야 될 것 같은데. 이쪽이 아닌 것 같은데. 밖에 나왔다. 여기 있다. 노란색 보인다. 일로 이어지네. 뭐야. 아 근데 엄청 똑똑한 사람이 사람을 죽일 때는 이렇게 죽이나 봐요. 이 무슨 아 여기서 전원을
The
켜고
power is on. The engine cannot be started whilst the transmission is active.
아 이걸 돌려?
The engine has started. The ventilation system is working.
다시 돌아가야 돼? 아야. 아,
Excellent. This ventilation fan is working. Let us see if I can activate the other one.
여기서 이거를 조정할 수 있구나. 왓슨아 괜찮니? 너 애벌레 맞았을 것 같은데? 아니야? 나 뭐 또 안 하고 왔나? 아 여기도 있네.
Perfect. Now I just need to find Watson to check the result.
이거 왜 그냥 지나쳤지?
It works perfectly, Holmes. Bravo. Now, if you just help me to
애벌레
get
맞았어.
the caterpillars.
Perfect.
불쌍해. 그걸
Now we
꼭
know
애벌레로
how the
했어야
murder
되나
of
똑같이?
Montague Dunn was carried out.
왜
By
다른 걸로 했어도
activating both
됐잖아.
Albert's and Mr. Hamish's fans.
But only from Mr. Hamish's workplace would it be possible to see when Montague Dunn entered the Colonial Collection Room.
다시 B 생각해. 똥 치밀한 계획. 해미 씨는 식물을 자극할 방법을 알고 있을 것이다. 해미 씨의 범행이다. 헉! 해미 씨를 체포하라.
Let's go to Scotland Yard.
근데 나 아까 전에 그 뭐야 320번인가? 그것도 들어봐야 되는데. 그게 이유 없이 떡밥이 풀린 거는 아닐 텐데. 가기 전에 갈 수 있나? 그 녹음한 거 듣는 것도 풀리지 않았단 말이죠. 여기 열려있다 갑자기.
Here it is. Cylinder records.
이제 여기 물음표가 없어졌다.
have adapted to their arid environment due to a system of underground routes.
This recording seems very long. It is unnecessary to listen to all of it. Miss White was in the laboratory, as she told us.
이게 끝인 건가? 그냥 이게 끝이야? 아, 왜 이렇게 얘는 항상 이렇게 찝찝해야 돼? 범인을 잡으면서도. 뭐가 더 있을 것 같은데. 항상 근데 이렇게 끝나기는 했어요. 이렇게 그냥 끝.
I must admit, it would be rather unusual to use a poisonous plant as a murder weapon.
너가 벌써 잡아온 거야? 뭐야? 아, 이 아저씨가 아니고 이 아저씨가 찐이야?
I believe that Martin Hamish is guilty of the murder of Montague Dunn.
Aha! I knew it. I'll send the letter out.
좀 다르게 생기긴 했네.
Very good. I shall wait to hear from you.
야.
Inspector, I came here as quickly as I could.
잡아, 빨리 잡아.
Hamish is in the large glass house. There's no need to hurry.
어디에 있다고 했지? 온실에 있다 했나? 아니, 너한테 잡으라고 왔더니 왜 나를 시켜? 뭐야, 이게 왜 뭐야?
A task list for Albert, compiled by Martin Hamish. Sweep out the palm house.
아니, 나 갑자기 이거를 왜 지금에서야 볼 수 있게 된... 어머, 깜짝이야.
Holmes, my God!
Yes, we found him like that.
Our messing around with the ventilation system didn't go unnoticed. Mr. Hamish realized that we need...
Inspector,
이게
could
무슨...
you arrange the body, please? I should like to examine it. The mark around the neck is very visible. He died instantly.
지옥 같은 삶을 살게 되었다. 견디기 힘들어진다. 손에 피를 묻힌 스스로를 용서할 수 없다. 항상 비극적인 상황의 희생양일 뿐이었다. 나 역시 마찬가지다. 이제까지의 일을 속죄하고자 한다. 안녕히 계시길.
Holmes, his left shoe is unique. This anomaly is
그러네. 이쪽이 굽이 없네.
A club foot. Bravo, Watson. That is the key element of this case.
그게 무슨 말이야? 내반족이 뭔데? 정강이뼈 비틀림으로 고생했던 모양이다. 뛸 수 없었다. 여유가 부족했던 것이다. 아, 다리가 불편했기 때문에 뛸 수가 없어서 공범이 있다고 이걸 추론하는 거야? 진술을 바탕으로 정황을 재현해라. 경감과 얘기를 나눠라.
Something about this rings very oddly.
Why do you say that, Mr. Holmes?
Why? Because of Mr. Hamish's club foot. Oh, I deserve to be kicked from here to Charing Cross. I should have noticed it.
But, Mr. Holmes, I can't see why.
No, I don't suppose you
우리
do.
같은
You
일반인은
must
이해
recall
못해요.
that Mr. Dunn was locked
이해하려고
inside
하면
the
안 돼.
colonial collection room by the murderer. If it was Mr. Hamish, he would have had to run up to his workplace to trigger the fan situated above it, taking into consideration the condition of his foot.
Well, it is still possible.
Perhaps, but it is rather strange that such a person
그치,
as Mr.
그렇게
Hamish
똑똑한
decided
범행
to base
방법을
his plan on
생각했는데
the speed of
여기서
his
갑자기
gait.
허점이 나온다고? 그건 말이
You
안
mean to
되긴
say
하지.
that somebody helped him?
So the suicide is questionable?
Correct. Mr. Hamish accuses only himself in his letter, and so the
그럼 얘도
investigation
죽였다고?
stops.
공범이?
Possibly an accomplice, then? That idea had not occurred to me, Mr. Holmes.
I have another idea, Inspector. Thanks to the testimony that we have collected, we are able to rebuild the events as they took place that day.
With a timeline, such as we did in the
타임라인?
Ripper case.
잭 더 리퍼를 그렇게 잡았어? 셜록이 잡은 게 맞나 보네
The
그러면.
map at the entrance of Kew Gardens should help us with our timeline.
아 그래서 자꾸 지도에
Let us
물음표가
analyze the
떴구나.
facts and statements so that we may recreate the events of that morning.
9시 30분경 마틴 해미시와 몬테규 던은 종자 보관실에서 알버트를 만났다. 9시 30분. 여기다 놔야 되는 건가? 아 알버트 던이 만났으니까 여기. 마턴 해미시와 몬테규는 뒤뜰로 향했다. 그로부터 10분 후 열대 식물관 쪽으로. 그러면은 둘이 종자 보관실. 화이트와 10시경에 대화를 했다. 10시 40분까지 실험실에 있었으며 수상박물관에서 해미시 알버트를 만났다. 그러면 여긴가? 그러면은 10시경에 대화를 했다. 30분경에 알아챈 해미씨는 알버트에게 달려갔다. 30분. 10시 10분경 해미씨를 목격했고 얘는 이때 여기 있었고. 재현하기. 헐 신기하다.
Let us summarize. Montague Dunn was poisoned
10시
inside the
20분에.
Colonial Collection Room. He forced open the door, which means that someone locked him inside there at 10:20. Martin Hamish was last seen at 10:10. This means that he has approximately
10분
10
정도
minutes to
걸렸을
lock the
거다.
door of the Colonial Collection Room. Given that he was club-footed, it is doubtful. Albert also has 10 minutes to lock the door of the Colonial Collection Room, which is quite enough time. Miss White was last seen at 10 o'clock, which means that she had approximately 20 minutes to lock
이
the
두
door.
사람한테도
More
뭔가
than enough time. Perfect, Watson. Now, let us ascertain who assisted Martin Hamish in killing Montague Dunn.
이렇게도 이어져? 알지 못했을 것이다. 알지 못했지. 알 순 없어 얘는. 뭔가 안 한 것 같아. 아 근데 둘 중에 하나면은 얘는 그러면은 여기랑 안 맞나 본데? 그럼 얘는 이거야? 이건 뭐야? 여유를 이용해. 아니 얘가 20분 안에 안 되면 10분 안에 10분밖에 시간이 없었던 애는 더 안 되는 거 아니야? 아니 근데 이게 정확하게 누가 뭐 그럴 만한 범죄가 그러니까 할 만한 뭐가 있다라는 거를 이건 뭐야? 지원받고 있었지. 아 이러면은 화이트가 되는 거야. 만약에 얘로 하면 그러면은 이게 둘 다 안 맞는 거지 지금. 이렇게 할 수밖에 없는 거잖아 그러면. 전 이번에는 선처를 베풀 생각이 없습니다. 별로 그렇게 막 타당한 죽음이라고 생각하지 않아요. 어쨌든 본인을 이제 지원해줬고, 근데 본인이 더 이상 지원받고 싶지 않다고 말을 해서 네 혼자 뭐 잘 살아봐라
How can you be certain that we'll find Miss White here?
It is
했는데
obvious, Watson. Just
그
use
사람을
your brain.
죽이고, 그리고 마치 본인은
I do.
연관이 없는 것처럼 싹
Now
닫고
that the
있다가
rope has tightened around Martin Hamish, Miss White must act to erase all traces of her implication. After the suicide of her accomplice,
그러네.
there's
신성
one
연구에
final
얘기했을
trace
때
remaining.
유일하게 뭐
The deadly
잘
plants,
모르지만
the
뭐
divine
되게
secret. She
예쁜 이름이네요,
will be
막 멋진 이름이네요 하지 않았어요 얘가?
Shall we go?
there. Just one moment. Now listen to me, Watson. I shall see her alone. You will conceal yourself behind her, quietly.
Whatever are you planning?
Nothing spectacular. The impulses of women have always been a mystery to me.
말
But
같지도 않은
she
소리
is
하지
a bold
말고
one, and so we must
끝내자
be
이제.
cautious.
All right. You can count on me. Holmes.
이렇게 뭐 말이 많아. 되도 않는 소리 하면서.
Mr. Holmes, good day to you.
왜 그랬어요?
You do not seem surprised, Miss White.
Well, I was expecting you.
Not for too long, I believe. So please tell me, as it is still unclear, who planned the murder? Was it you?
You were wrong, Mr. Holmes.
아니라고?
It was Martin Hamish, then. You managed to convince him to take on a more prominent role.
You could not be further from the truth.
You think that you can fool me?
You don't care what I think.
It is difficult to care about someone who is capable of pushing a man to his suicide. It is over, Miss White. The police will be here any minute.
Over, perhaps.
뭐야?
One moment you were here, and the next, you were on the other side.
The other side? No! Stop!
자살하는 거야 얘도? 내가 막아야 되는 거야 지금? 또?
I beg you not to do this, Miss White.
Don't come any closer.
뭐야?
Please remain calm. We can help you.
Not one step further. Don't try to stop me.
이런 액션을 꼭 한 번씩 하긴 해야 되는구나.
Stop this foolishness. You cannot truly want to die.
No, it's too late.
뭐야? 으씨, 못 막았어. 너무 호록하고 먹어버렸는데?
Tragic, Holmes.
Are you able to do anything?
I'm afraid not. The poison has been fulgurated.
어허, 죽여버렸네 내가. 헉, 다 찾았네 단서는. 살리고 싶었는데 나는. 자 봅시다. 동일한 방법으로 사건을 해결한 비율 92%, 동일한 도덕적 선택을 제시한 비율 77%네요. 근데 정확한 진상을 알지 못하네요라는 그 말이 너무 찝찝하다. 왜 죽이려고 했는지가 궁금한데? 걱정했던 거와는 다르게 그렇게 어려운 건 아니지 않았나 싶은데 요상하게 제가 좀 휘둘렸네요.